Hi, good morning. Welcome to our first Facebook Live session. And in this session, we're going to have top tips for job seekers living with mental ill health. Thank you for joining us. My name is Colin Hills.
And my name is Olivia May, and we are Senior Employment Advisors for a brand new programme called Aim for Work. And we support 25 and above living with a common mental health condition who are seeking work or training.
Aim for Work is delivered by Shore Trust and its 4 partner organisations: City and Hackney Mind, Resources Plus, Bromley by Bow Centre, and the Southwest London and St George's Mental Health Trust. It is a programme that runs across all 17 boroughs. It's designed to help people who suffer from things like anxiety, depression, generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, panic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, and social anxiety disorder. So one of the things that we get a lot in our jobs as senior employment advisors is we always get asked for tips and guidance on what should I do when looking for a job, what strategies to use. So we're going to share what we
know.
what we know.
And we hope you find them useful today.
Okay, shall we begin?
Yeah, let's begin.
Okay, so tip number 1 would be look after yourself. Okay, looking for the right job can be really tough, and it can be frustrating. It can take a really long time, and for a lot of people it can be lonely. And if you're living with a common mental health problem, it can be 100 times this. So one way to do this is to continue to do activities that make you feel good. Don't feel guilty about them. Having hobbies is one good way. So if you like to, cook, clean, play guitar, play football, sing,
read books,
help someone, make sure to look after yourself, because you can't be the best person looking for a job. You can't present your best self if you're not looking after yourself. Well, another thing is that you can eat well. Eat well, sleep well, rest. Eating well doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be super organic. You don't have to always go to a health shop, but you can eat well. Fruits, vegetables, good food, you can cook it yourself. And sleep is really, really important. If one of the things about bad sleep is, if you get bad sleep, you're not going to be in the best frame of mind when you're ready to look for a job. So that number 1 tip is really important. Look after yourself, so that then if you're ready to look for a job, it can be your best self.
Thank you, Colin. So moving on, tip number 2 is manage your expectations. So as we all know, looking for a job isn't easy, and you're bound to come up against some hurdles on the process. And it's important that you appreciate that it's not going to happen overnight. You might start looking for work and it might not happen within a week or a month or even a year of starting looking. But the important thing is just not to give up and to appreciate that sometimes it does take time. You might apply for a job and not even hear anything back, which is always really hard to take. If you get an interview, you might not get the job. There's so many things that can go wrong along the process, and that's why at Aim for Work we stress that it is a journey, and you need to just think about all these difficulties that you might face in the journey to work as a learning process. So what can you take away from these different hurdles? So for example, if you go for an interview and you don't get it, then it might be about getting feedback from that so you can improve for next time. Maybe tweaking your CV, having a friend or family member look over your CV and give you some feedback on what you can improve. So there's loads of little things that you can do in order to keep up your confidence, keep up your motivation. But the most important thing is just to not to give up and be realistic about the job seeking process. So tip number 2, manage your expectations.
Lovely. So tip number 3, talk about your job seeking. Okay? Yeah, talk about your job seeking. What it is don't underestimate the power of who you know. Mm-hmm. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to people who can help you. Tell them about your dreams, your aspirations. You never know who will be able to help you or who has an opportunity for you. Because you never know, you might have a friend who has an uncle, who has a sister, a cousin, brother, nephew, who is in a job that you're looking for, and who can help you, give you that extra added information to get you into that interview. Keep in touch with your friends, talk about your skills, talk about your strengths. Talk about the things that make you want to work. And because people always want to help you. You'd find that your friends and your family, they would want to help you because they see that you want to move forward in your life. They see that you want to break your barriers and you want to talk about yourself. The more you talk about your barriers, the more confident and comfortable you will be in an interview setting. See it as practice. So, also sign up for adult education classes, go to a free exercise class, see what events in the local community have to offer, be proactive. The more that you talk to people is the more information you get, and the more, it's called networking, and everybody does it, and everybody does it. The more you network is the more information you get. So, tip number 3, talk about your job seeking.
Thanks, Colin. Moving on, tip number 5 is be proactive. So by that we mean just be proactive in your job search. Jobs won't just come to you. You have to go out and find them. And a lot of people just see online as the only way that they can apply for work, and that's great. Online you can get information about different companies, you can submit your CV, application forms, etc. But it's important to not neglect any other ways of looking for work. And a big thing that we encourage all the people that we work with is attending job fairs. So it's a great way to find out about what employment opportunities are available around your area. If you don't have an idea necessarily about what type of work it is that you want to do, you can go around and speak to lots of employers at one place and get leaflets. They give freebies like pens, chilly stuff, papers, and you can just get involved and talk to other people who are job seeking as well to find out what it is that they're doing, whether there's anything that they can recommend, if there's any companies that they think would be good for you, and vice versa. So it's a really good networking opportunity, and it's great for people who necessarily might not have a lot of confidence to kind of build your confidence and get in front of employers. And you never know, you might even get a job out of it, which is not a bad start.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So another thing that I would say is to look out for employers that are mindful employers or have signed up to the Disability Confidence Scheme. So these are employers that have specifically made a pledge to actively employ people who have declared that they are living with a mental health condition or physical health condition or any sort of disability. So there's lots of websites online that you can find lists of employers that have signed up to these schemes, and that's a great way again to get yourself in front of employers and think outside the box. And any other ways that you can think to get work, just try and think not necessarily for the conventional way, but think about other ways that you can get work. And like Colin said, speaking to people is a big one as well.
Yeah.
So that's tip number 4, which is be proactive.
Okay. Tip number 5, celebrate your successes. And what that means is this. A lot of times when we're not working and we're depressed or we're anxious about things, we tend to focus too much on the negative. Sometimes, so you get a job interview, you go for the interview, you're well dressed, everything's ready, you're on point, you go into the interview, you hit it out of the ballpark, and then you get feedback that you didn't get the job, and you focus on I didn't get this job, and it's really negative. The positives in that is, I'm sure most of the times 400 people went for that job and you got an interview. So you have to look at it as a point like, this is a positive, I actually did get an interview. So congratulate yourself on not only applying for the jobs, not only updating your CV, but getting an interview. Okay? So celebrate the fact that you have a to-do list today, you cooked, you got up, you did something you needed to do, you helped a friend, you fed the dog. Anything that's in your, you know what I mean?
No, it's true.
Anything in your life that you can say, you know what, I started this and I completed it. Celebrate it. You gave advice to a friend who called you and was down with the dumps, and you tried to offer them some support. So all these things help towards a positive mental health. Definitely. And in the Aim for Work program, this is what we help with in our program. If you sign up for our program and you are eligible, one of the things we help you with on top of your job searching is to make you feel confident, make you celebrate the things in your life that are worth celebrating. It's not always about looking at the negative things in life, it's looking at the positivity that you can find in any situation. So, tip number 5, remember to celebrate your successes.
Great. So tip number 7 is know how to explain any gaps in your CV. So a lot of people have gaps in their CV for various different reasons, and that is completely okay. And it's easy to kind of beat yourself up and be down in the dumps because you feel that your gap is really long and no one's going to employ you because you have been out of work for a few months or a year or a few years or whatever the gap may be. And it's really more common than you probably think it is. And there's various reasons why people are out of work. They might have been made redundant, childcare, they might have had a period of ill health, they might be looking after a loved one. There's so many different reasons, and pretty much everyone's got some sort of gap in their CV. Maybe if they've left a job and they've had a period of looking for other work or taken some volunteering opportunities up. The main thing is just to be confident when you're explaining your gaps to an employer. A lot of employers nowadays are not necessarily looking for you to have done anything specific with your gap. It's just about you to be confident in terms of demonstrating that you're motivated and you've got the right skills for the job that you're going for. So think about any little thing that you've done during your period out of work, whether that be volunteering, anything, you know, looking after a loved one. What kind of transferable skills do you have? Maybe timekeeping, being organised, keeping to appointments, that sort of thing. Financial issues, you know, juggling other people's diaries. There's so many things that you don't, on the face of it, you wouldn't think necessarily are related to looking for work, but they actually are. So it's just important to be mindful of, you know, go through things that you've done during your period out of work. There's lots of online courses nowadays that you can sign up for, and a lot of them are literally maybe a few hours courses, and they give you a certificate and you can put that in maybe like a portfolio or a folder. So just make the most of any opportunities that you can whilst you're out of work, and be confident when you're in front of an employer to explain exactly what you've been doing and how that helps you to do the job that you're applying for. So tip number 6 is know how to explain any gaps in your CV.
Nice. So we move on to tip number 7. Tip number 7, be prepared. Now, there's this really cheesy saying, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. It may be cheesy, but it's absolutely accurate. If you don't prepare before you go for an interview, there's several things that you can lack, which is one of them being confidence. So to prepare for an interview, what you need to do is that make sure your CV is as good as it could be. Make sure that you have your referees, you've made contact and you have confirmation that they are happy for you to use them. Make sure you rehearse the interviews, use your friends, use your family to do like mock interviews. Make sure that you have an interview outfit, borrow a tie, borrow a shirt, make sure that you're on point and you look any part, you look sharp.
Mm-hmm.
And what this does is this boosts your confidence. If you know the company, like also you can Google the company. Google the company, say you're going for a job in a security firm. Google the company, see who they are, where they are, what's their ethos, when they started, who they employ, so that, because most often than not in interviews, one of the questions they would ask you is, so why did you choose our company and what do you know about our company? The more information you have before an interview, it just is a seriously good confidence booster. One thing as well, for everybody who's in Facebook land and Twitter land and all these things, make sure that your online profile is clean. What I mean by that is, so maybe you're on Facebook and maybe you went out 2 Saturdays ago and maybe you had a really, really good time and you took some pictures and you may be a little bit, worse for wear and whatnot. Employers actually, what they do now is they look at Facebook profiles to see who they're hiring. So make sure that your Facebook profile is clean. You can have pictures of what you ate, you can have pictures of holidays, but make sure that the information on there does not present you in a negative light, because employers now use that tool to see who they're hiring. So once you prepare, you go into this interview and you hit it out of the ballpark. It doesn't matter if you don't get the job, but the thing is you got the interview, you went and prepared, and the more interviews you do, the better you become at it. So after 2 or 3 interviews, by the time you're on your 4th interview, you're flying, but you would have been so prepared for it that all the interviews from now on will be filled with confidence. You know the answers to give, and you feel better prepared. So, tip number 7, be prepared.
Thank you, Colin. So moving on, tip number 8 is don't disclose your condition without knowing your rights. So this is a big issue that we deal with. A lot of the people that we work with have difficulty in disclosing their condition, mainly because they're just not educated in terms of what their rights actually are. A lot of people don't know what the law is in terms of, with the workplace, whether they can discriminate against you. And under the Equality Act, employers aren't allowed to discriminate against anyone who has a mental health condition. Whether you want to disclose to your employer or not is a completely personal decision, and here at Aim for Work we don't pressure anyone to make a decision either way. It's just important that you know your rights and you know what the consequences of each decision are, so that you can make an informed decision and you're aware of what will flow from that in terms of your rights in the workplace. A lot of employers themselves don't even know much about the law, what the law is, where it stands, or how to even deal or help someone who has a mental health condition. So don't just kind of disclose blindly and expect everything to come from your employer. It's important that you have a plan in place so that when you do disclose, you know exactly what it is that you want to get out of the discussion, you know exactly what you're entitled to and where you can go to get support if you don't get the support that you need or you require. So the government website is really good to get information about the Equality Act and exactly what it is and how it can help you in the workplace. And if you are eligible for our programme, then that's something that we discuss with all our clients as well. We have a detailed session and we can give you tools and tips and to help you in terms of how to have that discussion, who to disclose your mental health condition to, and making a plan as to how or what you want in place to help you in work. So tip number 8, don't disclose your condition without knowing your rights.
And moving on nicely from that, tip number 9, once you've disclosed, you ask for workplace adjustments. So once you have your job, yay, you've got a job. You've got a job and it's perfectly okay, with a capital OK, it's perfectly okay to ask for workplace adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay? In order to be eligible for work adjustments, you will need to have disclosed, as Olivia said. And so once you've disclosed, it's quite all right to ask your employer to help you with certain things. For example, you may need to you may suffer from anxiety and you can't use the tube and your job is across town and you have to use the tube to get to work. You can't use the tube, but you can't use the tube in rush hour. So you may need to ask for to start later at work to avoid rush hour. You may need to take more, regular breaks. You may need to start wearing headphones or work from home. As long as these adjustments are reasonable, your employer would be quite happy to help you and support you in making sure that you have the best possible environment in which to working. One thing as well is a lot of employers may not know about these unless you tell them. So don't be afraid to tell them you have the job, you are qualified enough to get the job, you were successful, you were really good at your interview. Your employers more often than not will help you with these adjustments to make sure that you have the best working experience that you can have. At the Aim for Work program, what we do as well is we act as advocates for our participants. So if you are on our program and you need that support in asking for adjustments, we can help you with that. We can have a chat with the employer, have a chat with you and the employer, get together, sit down, work out what would be the best plan for you to help you do the best job that you can do. There is a government access website. It's called Access to Work that provides a lot of information about reasonable adjustments, and you can find it on our Aim for Work website. So be confident and be bold for what you're asking, but at the same time be realistic. Okay, so tip number 9: once disclosed, ask for reasonable workplace adjustments.
Last but not least, our number 10 tip, which is access in work support. So the journey doesn't stop once you get into work. There's different difficulties that you may face once you've got work, and it's important that you have something in process or a plan in process to support you along that journey. If you are eligible for our service, then our advisors can support you in work for up to 6 months, and that can be, for example, helping you with disclosure. If you have any issues with your employer, then like Colin said, advocating on your behalf, attending any meetings, helping you to ask for workplace adjustments, just maybe even meeting up for a coffee just to talk about how your day's been, what's been going on, how you're settling in, making friends, going through your contract if you've got any queries about what they're asking you for or what the job actually is. Anything to do with supporting you to maintain that job, because it's really important that you find the job that's right for you, and it's not necessarily just going to go from like clockwork as soon as you walk into work. So it's important that you have stuff in place to help you along that journey. Remploy also do in-work support, and their website is really good to provide tools and access any kind of worksheets that they have in terms of disclosure and expectations in the workplace. And all these links will be on the Shaw Trust website after this Facebook Live post is finished. So thank you for joining us today. We really hope that you found our top 10 tips helpful. We do have a couple of questions that have come in. So shall I do my one first? Yeah. So the first question we have is, how can I boost my confidence when approaching employers? So I'll answer first, and then we'll both input onto it. I would say for this one, it's important to just prepare. So similarly to what Colin was saying earlier on, practice what you want to say in front of the mirror. It sounds silly, but dress up how you would if you were in front of an employer. And then you know how you're coming across. You can be aware of your body language, how your speech comes across, and you have a plan in your head about what you want to communicate to the employer, so that when you're in front of them, you've had that preparation time as well, so you kind of have an idea about how you want to come across and what it is that you want to say. Attending job fairs is a really brilliant way to increase your confidence, because it's not formal in terms of an interview. It's not just you and the employer. There's loads of job seekers there. It's an exchange of information, so they're there to promote their organisation to you as much as you are to kind of question them and find out about their organisation and their job opportunities. So it's kind of a mutual exchange, and you can pick up loads of freebies, so it's always a good one.
One of the things I use as well is understand that the employers are just like you. They're human beings, they're people. You need to understand something about yourself as well, that you are good at something. A lot of people, we see a lot of participants who say, well, they're not good at anything, and after having our initial well-being meeting with them, discover a lot of people have a wealth of talent that they don't consider that. Like I'm really good at numbers, but I want to do a job, a security job. Well, you are good at something, and that's something that you can use within yourself to know. You know what? I am worth something. I am capable of doing so much more than other people think I can. So, just go with that sense that you are good at something. This is another human being, and you are going to present the best self that you can. So yeah. Another question we have here is. Question: I have a social anxiety. What adjustments can I ask for? Well, as we said in tip number 9, is it? Tip number 9?
Yeah.
As we said in tip number 9 is, you are quite, if you get the job, even before, but let's say you get the job, it's quite within your remit, it's quite within your law for you to ask for adjustments. It all depends on what is your social anxiety. Some people's social anxiety is they don't like crowds. Some people's they don't like confined spaces. Some people don't like loud noises. You can work with your employer to come up with a plan that would help you to adjust to make your working environment more suitable for you. So for instance, you don't like crowds, as we said, start work later. You start work so the working hours here are 9 to 5. So everybody rushes, but from 7 o'clock to 5 to 9, rushes to get to work for 9, then start work for 10. You're going to miss the rush hour in the morning, and you're going to miss your rush hour in the afternoon. You're still working your hours though. That is one form of adjustment that can help. If you don't like loud noises and you sit next to a window where the traffic is really loud, you can ask to be moved to another desk where it's quieter, ask to be moved to a part of the office which is quieter for you. It all depends on what anxiety you have. It all depends on the support needs that you have. I am confident employers will work stringently to make sure that you have the best adjustment that you can have.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree with what Colin said. And the key is that no one is more expert on what your condition is apart from you.
Yeah.
And there's no kind of one-size-fits-all answer in terms of, if you've got social anxiety, then this adjustment is good for you, and if you've got depression, then this adjustment is good for you. So it's just important that you have that conversation with your employer, who might not necessarily have experienced any sort of social anxiety or dealt with anyone who experiences that condition. So, have a real good think before you approach them about what it is that you want to get out of the conversation, what you feel would help you, what part of the job you might find difficulty with, and how that can be solved. It's all about finding solutions to problems, and once you have that in place, then you'll feel confident to go into a discussion and know exactly what you want to get out of it.
We have another question here. It's based on the same thing. Do you recommend disclosing your mental health to an employer? That's different to the previous question because you're asking us if we recommend. To be honest, let's be really honest. A lot of people are scared too, not because of their mental health condition, but they're scared that they may not get the job, or they're scared that they may be overlooked for a job, or they may be discriminated against. And that is a valid concern, it is. But I think we live in a time where, and in a city and in a country where employers are the mental health issues are now more accepted, that people do experience mental ill health. And there are measurements, there are things in the workplace to help people with these experiences. So I would recommend, in most cases, I would recommend that you do disclose your mental health to the employer, so that if in case of, it looks after you and it protects you. In case you have an anxiety attack at work, it's not the employer's fault, but you have an anxiety attack at work, something triggers it. The employer would then know, okay, you suffer from anxiety attack, and they would be able to help you. They would be able to offer mental health first aid to you. But if they didn't know you have it, then it would be hard for them to do so. So yeah, I think I would recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really it's an interesting question, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's a really personal decision and choice to make. And I've supported people who have disclosed and they found it really helpful, and there's also been those people who have disclosed and it's not necessarily not have had such a positive experience. So there's no we can't guarantee that if you do disclose things will go smoothly, and if you don't then it will go wrong, or vice versa. So it's just important for you to just get as much information as you can and make a decision for yourself. But the important thing is just to be confident in whatever decision that you make, and appreciate that if you don't disclose, then your employer doesn't have any obligation to you in terms of putting in place reasonable adjustments. So if you did want to ask for reasonable adjustments, you would have to disclose first. Nice.
There's this other question here, Natiga.
So the next question is, can you explain the referral process? So I'm glad you've asked this. So the referral process from Aim for Work is really simple, and we try to make it as straightforward as possible. So there's various different ways that people can be referred onto the programme. So you can self-refer. So if you yourself feel, you know what, I feel like this programme would really help me, you can pick up the phone and call the Aim for Work referral number. You can also send an email to our Tracy at Aim for Work, or you can go on the Shore Trust website and there's a button that you can click and you can refer yourself that way. And the same process goes for anyone who is, for example, say you're a job centre and you want to refer a customer that you're seeing, or you work in a clinical service and there's someone that you're supporting and you feel that actually they are interested in employment and they would benefit from having the in-depth and tailored support that we can provide, then the same process. So pick up the phone, email, or go on the Shore Trust website. If you do send an email, it's really basic information that we'll take from you, so it's the person's name and their contact number, and we have support coordinators who are dedicated, experienced with mental health conditions, and they will give either yourself or the person that you refer a phone call, speak them through the service, find out a little bit more about their background, and make sure that they're eligible for the service. If there's someone that's not eligible, we'll always try and signpost them to an organisation that can help. So we'll never let anyone turn anyone away without support.
There's a question here from Gemma. It says, I don't understand who Shore Trust is. Can you explain? Shore Trust. What we do at Shore Trust is, our Aim for Work program, with Shore Trust is a charity, and we are all about helping people from across the entire spectrum of society. The Aim for Work program is specifically geared for people who experience ill mental health, over 25 and over, common mental health problems. And those problems would be, as we said, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety disorder, panic disorder, depression, PTSD, I said that before, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Obsessive compulsive
Obsessive
disorders.
compulsive disorder.
Um,
Yeah. A lot of people, depression is more common than you would realize. And people, it is debilitating in people's lives, depression and anxiety. And what we do is we try to, this program is to help people get back onto the work ladder, to help people who's never worked before, to help people who were working and stopped working because they experienced ill mental health. And we work 17 boroughs across London. We work with GPs, with IF teams, with community mental health centres. We work with JCPs, and as Olivia said, self-referral.
Yeah. So if you want any more information about Sure Trust, then you can log on to the website, and there's a lot of information there about the different services that we provide. Aim for Work is an employability service, but Sure Trust do training services, health and wellbeing services. So if our program isn't appropriate for you, then I'm sure if you go onto the website, you'll find something that is more tailored to your needs.
There's a question from Dougie.
So we have a question from Dougie. If the employer asks if you need reasonable adjustments for the interview, how should this be handled? Should you disclose then? So I would say in this case, you should disclose. I would recommend disclosing in the sense that you only disclose as much as you need to. So for example, if there's, maybe, I don't know, it's anxiety and you would prefer to have your interview in a small room as opposed to maybe an open plan office, or if it's an assessment centre and you'd rather do a presentation on a one-to-one basis with someone. So again, it depends on what exactly or how your condition manifests itself, and that's something that maybe we can give you some more information about if you decide, maybe you want to speak to us privately in a private message after this Facebook post has gone out. But again, I would say that it's important that you just disclose as much or as little as you want to, in order to allow yourself to be interviewed and not feel that you have to kind of minimise what your condition is in order to get through the interview process. And it's brilliant that you've even been asked for an interview, so clearly you've got the skills and what they're looking for. So think about that, and anything else that they have to make adjustments for is just for you to feel comfortable in yourself.
Also, with these questions, we are aware that because we're Facebook Live, some people may not want to ask a question because they want it to be private. Please feel free to give us a call or to text us, and we can answer you privately after this broadcast is finished, and we can take any questions that you may have. How do people with mental health speak about it during the job search process? Be honest, and as Olivia says, be honest, or there's no right or wrong answer for this. The conception out there of mental health is what the media has portrayed in movies and films and books, that people who experience ill mental health are violent, unpredictable, crazy, loud, not in control. And these are all negative aspects of it. These are what you call stigma. Ill mental health doesn't always or necessarily mean those things. You could be depressed, you could be anxious about something. It just means that the depression and anxiety it's a bit more than normal, because stress and anxiety is normal for people. It becomes abnormal when it takes over your life, and when it becomes debilitating. And a lot of people who experience ill mental health are scared, lacking in confidence, shy, and tend to be lonely. So if you would like to disclose it, there is no right and wrong.
No.
It's all personal. There's no right and wrong. It's up to you. It's up to you. But if you do what feels best for you, but for me personally, if you want to disclose your issues to a prospective employer, then feel free to do so. If you don't, then feel free to do so as well. Would you recommend LinkedIn for job hunting?
I would say any website that you can get onto that will give you opportunity to get your CV or your job experience or work history in front of an employer is a brilliant one. LinkedIn is fantastic. I know personally people who have used it and have actually been headhunted for jobs that they haven't even gone out and applied for, just because people have seen their profile on LinkedIn. It's brilliant for you to network with people that you've lost touch with as well. So you can use it to find out, what your old school friends are doing, any organisations that you're interested in, and you kind of want first-hand, experience, or maybe to connect with someone from that organisation, so you can get their influence or their perspective of what it is like, the realities of working for that organisation, any training opportunities that they provide, that sort of thing. So I would say LinkedIn is a brilliant one, and it doesn't take long to set up a profile. It's literally kind of something you can do in 5-10 minutes, and you can keep updating it with your skills. So as you go on to training programs, or you get certificates, and as you go into new jobs as well, you can update it. So LinkedIn is a brilliant one.
Also with LinkedIn, what's really good about LinkedIn is that it's like an online CV. So everything that you do, you just update it. A nice thing with LinkedIn as well is if you do things like volunteer work, you put that on there. If you wrote an article about something you've experienced, you put that on there. And LinkedIn, you can get endorsements from other people. So if you do something really, really well, and say you help someone in a volunteering capacity, and they say this person is really good, they could endorse you, and that works wonders. The CV. A CV is static, or LinkedIn it's fluid, and it keeps an update of all the really, really positive things that you're doing, and by doing that helps people to just literally headhunting if need be. So last question? Is it? No, there's will the sessions be available later? Yes, they would be on YouTube. This session that we just had is going to be available on YouTube. So if you've missed anything, if you came late in this broadcast, or there's some points that you want to go over, feel free to go onto YouTube, have a look at it.
Yeah, and there'll be the tips will be on the Shaw Trust website as well. So if you want to have maybe like a paper copy of the tips, or you want to go over and click on the links that we've mentioned, then they'll all be on the Shaw Trust website as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this broadcast today. This is our first broadcast, so apologies if we're a bit nervous and we stumble for our words. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully you've learned and gained a lot from this session. Again, my name is Colin Hills.
And I'm Olivia May. Thank you for joining us today, and we hope the tips have been helpful for you.